Hello my beautiful bookish friends, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a end of year TBR. This is going to be all the books I want to read by the end of December. And there's quite a few here because my reading goal is almost obtainable. I have 26 books left to read before I reach my goal of 85 books. And while there's not 26 books in these two stacks, I feel like I could get there if I read a lot of graphic novels or listen to a lot of audiobooks. However, I want to kind of reach it in a way that, but I also want to read them at my own pace, not rush through them and not really remember any of the content or enjoy them as much as I probably would if I was reading them in, say, June or July when I had a lot of time to meet my reading goal. So, yeah, let's get into it because I did refresh this quite a bit from the last time I talked about my TBR. Books that I didn't finish, other than three of them have been put back on the shelves, and I'll get to hopefully at the beginning of next year or at some point. So that being said, I do have quite a few Christmas reads, so we'll start with those. I have The Christmas Sisters by Sarah Morgan. Now, I did include this in an unhaul. It's listed on my Pango. However, I am in a really Christmassy mood, which never happens. And I just kind of want some like lighter hearted, more like cozy reads. And this one I know for a fact has that kind of Hallmark movie vibe to it, except it's not really focused on romance. It's more of like a family focused book. So I'm gonna read it. I'm still probably gonna just unhaul it and leave it up on Pango, so if anyone wants to buy it, it's there. And if someone buys it before I read it, then I probably wasn't meant to read it in the first place. But I believe this takes somewhere in Scotland, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So in Scotland. So a lot of the books I've been reading, there's been characters either from Scotland or Wales or the UK. So apparently I'm just on that kind of kick. Then we have one of my book of the month picks from December. We have Kiss Her Once for Me, and I'm going into this pretty blind. All I know is what was on book of the month, and that it has LGBTQ themes, that it's Christmassy, and there's a local coffee shop and all that good stuff. So I really just liked the color of the cover, and I was looking for something Christmassy to read. So I picked this one out, and I think this is a new release. My last Christmas themed one? Yes, my last like officially Christmas themed book is The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. I know this is about twin sisters who switch places, and that's about all I know for this one. And I think it's just because they want to try each other's lives. Like they're sick of the rut that they've been in. A lot of people really like this one. I didn't get to it last year. I wasn't in a very holiday read kind of mood last year. So we're going to see if I like this one as much as I liked In a Holidays, because that is one of the few Christmas books I've read and held on to because I enjoyed it. Plus, those two will get me closer to my book of the month reading goal, and hopefully I can maybe get to that by the end of the year so I can get the prizes. So next, let's talk about basically my number patterns is what I call my graphic novels, because I can read these in about a day, and I have 4 of them. So, and 3 of them I could probably read in a day together. But first I have the Disney Kingdoms comic that Marvel did, and this is the Figment one. Again, I don't know anything about this. I just know I love Figment. I love Journey into Imagination. And this is focused on the characters from the original ride, not the current version. So I'm interested to see that because I never got to ride that ride. And Figment is super fun. And this just looks like, you know, a really fun kind of adventure. There's some steampunky stuff in here. So the art's really cool. I mean, it looks like it's kind of intense at points. So we'll give it a go and see how I feel about it. Then I have volume 1 of Harley Quinn, and this is Harley Quinn versus Apocalypse. Again, don't know anything about it, just know that I got it because it's basically the next Harley series that I needed to pick up. I have volume 2 of Superman and Wonder Woman Power Couple. I read the first one and really liked it. And this one is just obviously continuing the story. When we last left them, they basically were still trying to learn how to work together, but had gotten to a point where they knew that they were always going to have to work on that because of how they are as heroes. So it's a really fun comic. I highly recommend it. And then I have Wonder Woman Odyssey Volume 2, which is the last in a duology of Wonder Woman comics. And this one is definitely more modern day, but it is about Wonder Woman learning who she is and why she was lied to about her identity. And it's super good and super hard to find. And I actually got this used. I want to show you guys some of the artwork. So it's a little bit darker, a little more gory. So 2 books that have just been on the list because I want to finish the series: Well Met and Actor Age Eve Brown. Each are romances. These give me very much summer vibes. I mean, especially this one because it takes place during the Renaissance Fair. However, I really like this series, and I think both of these series have a cozy element to them. The romances are usually very feel good. The third act isn't too convoluted. So I just want to finish these up to kind of wrap my year up with no loose strings from series that I have already started. It's probably impossible to read every book from every series that I have started thus far since I started reading again, but I'm going to give it a try. Included in that same finishing series I've already started, we have The Final Gambit, mostly because I really am in love with this series. I love the Inheritance games, and I want to see where it leads to. Now, there's another book coming out, so I don't know if this is going to be the end of the series and the other one will kind of start a new series or be a backstory standalone kind of book. However, I can't wait to read this, and this will probably be the next one I pick up. Or I do want to reread Kingdom of the Cursed, partially because the hell that they talk about in this, there are parts of it that are very wintry, very dark and desolate. And I did read this in winter last year, and it was perfect for the vibes. It was immaculate. However, I want to reread this and tab it up so that I can read Kingdom of the Feared, which is the last book in the series and is one that I have been highly anticipating. And I realized something once I got this book, that Carrie Maniscalco must have parted ways with James Patterson, because this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition and it still has the James Patterson Presents on it like all of her books do. This one doesn't. And so the spine is different. Even though they're still both produced by the same publishing house, they no longer have the Jimmy Patterson thing on them. So just a heads up, your spines will not perfectly match. And finally, I have 3 books. One is Pandora Gets Vain. I've talked about it a few times. I haven't finished it. It's next in a series. I want to get it done. Nancy Drew Files Volume 2. This has 3 books in it, and the second one is Hit and Run Holiday. They're each 100 pages, so I count this as one book, obviously. But I figure with a winter mystery in here, the whole thing might be wintry and will kind of get me in the mood. Plus, this is good to break up the romance and fantasy that I have. And finally, A Lesson in Vengeance. I picked this one up mainly because it's short and it's dark academia, and there's something about winter that just makes sense with dark academia. I think that this book has gotten a lot of hype, so hopefully it's really good. And I think it's like, it's longer than I thought. It's 369 pages. So it's longer than I thought, but it feels like it's going to be one that I just fly through. So hopefully it lives up to the hype. But that is it for my December TBR. I'm going in blind with a lot of these books, which means no expectations, which hopefully will lead to no letdowns. Because the last book I read was The X-Hex, and it did let me down a little bit. So, that all being said, I hope you guys are enjoying December so far, getting ready for the holidays, and I will see you in the next video, which will be, I have a makeup tutorial coming out, but then I'm going to start the end of year wrap-up content, so get ready for my best and most disappointing books, my end of year wrap-up, and all the books I borrowed but won't buy. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.